specific amount. I just said the next
I
day.
think we're
I make a motion to approve the minutes.
Second, all in favor? Opposed? Now, little bit property discussion.
All right, you ready for me to sign in?
I am ready for you to.
All right. Well, first of all, I want to say, I'm glad that there's something going on in town. We could be like I had a conversation earlier, I'm not going to tell you who it was with, but they said Richlands to this very day is saying, how is Tazewell doing? And you hear that across Tazewell County, so I think, I've always said, I thought Richlands had the best town manager that ever walked through Tazewell County, and I honestly believe that, and I know this is being recorded and videotaped. No disrespect, Mike, but it's the truth, and I'm including me in that. So, I'm really tickled to be a part of a winning team, and I don't care how you view the issues at hand, we still have a winning team. We have a lot to be proud of in town. I was really tickled the other night at the showing that we had for the public comment. I was really pleased to see. I think there were 3 citizens that were here, and somebody correct me if I'm wrong, that lived around the field. I think most of the rest of them were Little League parents or coaches or maybe 4 or 5 people that lived immediately around it. So I was really happy to see that. So we advertised, and Robin's not here, Tracy may remember, we advertised that community event, I don't know, for a week maybe, a week and a half, and the whole community knew about it. I know everybody knew about it because people were sending me Facebook shots right and left, so the whole world knew we were having it. But to have 4 people come out, go Tazewell, I mean, that says a lot for what we're trying to do for not only the town of Tazewell, but Tazewell County. And we had a crowd of, again, parents with Little League, a lot of concerns, had some really interesting and heated conversations that I think showed a lot of passion in the community. It brought a lot of really good things to talk about to the table, and we absolutely had a lot of comments by one of our attorneys on Main Street that offered some suggestions. And Brad's here tonight. I was hoping that David Althauser would be here so that we could further get into that contract and maybe it'll be a little more transparent to the community. Brad and I have worked on this contract. I don't know, I'm going to say maybe we put it together in a week. I wish I had the dates in front of me when I was first introduced to the concept of the town relieving the existing Little League fields when I was first introduced to it. But I can tell you it was at the front porch with a meeting with Jay and 2 of my elected officials. I met another time with another elected official and Jay. You can't have the 2 together. You can't have any more than 2 together. Or constitutes a meeting after advertise. So in just a short amount of time, a lot of things took place. Now, I can tell you, if you pay attention to social media, that we are not fast. Everything local government does takes an eternity. But there's a couple of things we're really efficient about, and that's sending a tax ticket out and a lack of communication. I've always said that local government is the world's worst at communication, and I didn't just make that up 2 weeks ago. I said that for years, and I've always said it. And until you've worked in local government, it's really hard to understand that or see that. And I honestly believe it because people still call me and ask why their garbage didn't get picked up on Christmas Eve. So we are the world's worst at communicating. And if you believe that, then I strive to my staff is, we send newsletters out. We have a website. We have an economic developer with out of the day now who Facebook, website, word of mouth, social. I mean, we have a TV channel. Do we have a radio channel yet? I don't think we have a radio channel. But we do everything we can to communicate. But we didn't on this one. And I made that real clear the other night. Our method of communicating with this project really left a lot to be desired. So we are reaping the benefits now of that, and the community is obviously there's no, we have the media here tonight. Thank you for being here. But there's nobody else in this room, and it was advertised. Everybody knows it's here. So that to me speaks volume. It's not that if people in my 20 years in local government, I've seen a packed house.
Todd, I think people thought this was a closed meeting. The people I talked to today, since they thought this was just a meeting just for the IEDA board. They did not realize this was open to the
yeah,
public.
it's hard to.
I mean, that's what I was told, and I don't have any reason not to believe them. So I tell you the truth, when you said that, I thought, really? People were supposed to be here?
I didn't know until we walked in this room. I said, I never knew an
I didn't know it
IDA
was
meeting was
open.
open.
No,
I've never, I've never known that. I didn't see it advertised via Facebook the same way the meeting on Tuesday was advertised.
Yeah, so I've obviously dropped the ball of communicating my own IDA. We don't have, I mean, that's pretty bad right there,
See, I don't know.
Executive session.
You can come into an IDA, the reason we meet back there is because the planning commission is meeting up here.
Right.
But our doors is, we're always
Public
open.
doesn't realize that.
We'll have to advertise that, put it on the website. I know that the media, for every meeting we have, gets they know it, they're well aware of it. And that our two individuals with the meeting in the back room can tell you that when we have meetings, we usually advertise it pretty good. We get it out there. So, but yeah, maybe we need to put that on our website. But anyway, regardless, and when you're not communicating with your own board, when your own board don't know that you got open meetings, something's wrong. We really dropped the ball somewhere. But anyway, again, the contract, as I stated the other night, was never written for back of the dragon. Virginia legislation allows local government to work in the best interest of a community to take care of those operations within the confines of the local government administrative office and the elected body. The reason that the contract was ever made to begin with was to show the general population and the little league and back of the dragon that we're serious. And also let everybody know that we've got your back. Let the community know, the little league know that we're here for you, and we're not going to give your fields away and walk away and going to try to build you 2 new fields. And so that was the objective. I had an attorney tell me today, they said, you got legislative codes that allow you to take action. Why'd you do that? You just opened up Pandora's box when you put that out there in the contract, and their final word was no good deed goes unpunished. So here we are today. And you can look at that a number of different ways. I've got my opinion about that comment, everybody does, I guess. But again, I think it's the communication left a lot to be desired, and I'll say that over and over again. And I know Fifi and Kim over here the other night will tell you, I mean, I'll take responsibility for that. I'll take the hit for that. And we'll build off of it.
Well, I think it depends on the subject matter in terms of whether whoever the attorney was made that remark to you. And I think in regards to the Little League field, that people feel like it belongs to them. I think it does.
Yeah.
And we're talking about our children. And for the last 40 years, this has been, Brad, you know, we've all lived here. Our Little League players have been on that field, and it's a hot topic, Todd.
It is, I
And
know.
it's not gonna, and people feel like, when I'm hearing from the public, and I had several meetings today, I didn't want to attend, but I did, felt like it was my duty. They feel like they've lost trust in the town and the council, and probably in our committee too. They don't trust us to make the right decision, or the decision as it pertains to the welfare of the children and the people that live in that area. And that's, I think we all need to take that, into consideration, and that's tough.
And one other thing I've kind of noticed after I read this and kind of thinking back through all of the things that have been brought before this board to make decisions and transfer and sell property, this is the only one really that we have that's being utilized. Everything else has been vacant. And it's been an easy process to kind of do those.
Right.
And even in this agreement here, all the other contract agreements we had jobs tied to them.
Mhm.
There's nothing, nowhere this one that does that. So it kind of gives you a different idea, okay, what's really happening here.
Right, right.
I watched the September 10th Town Council meeting today, because I heard things last night, so I wanted to hear it for myself, so I did sit and watch that, made a couple of notes from that. When Jay Shop got up and talked, he said, when he first came up, he wanted to thank the council and you for the work you had done so far. And then it went right into, some other things going on, and it kind of left the imagination, well, what's happened, what's going on that we don't know about. And we're being asked to approve this and have no background knowledge on anything that has happened and transpired in conversations. And, I've gotten a lot of calls. I hadn't gotten any until after the meeting last night, and I've gotten a lot of calls and, folks saying, what's happening? This seems like it's an underhanded deal. I said, I don't know. You would know as much as I do at this point in time. But, when I got to thinking about it, this agreement has no jobs tied to it, like everything else we've worked with. And, every one of us know we haven't had a good track record in those kind of things so far. And so, it puts that question out there, is this another one of those deals? And Lord knows, I want the Little League to have great fields, and I want the economy to grow in Tazewell. But, we got to look at what's happening here. I know last night when folks was asking, they heard that Laura was going to be here, kept saying, well, we don't know. Everybody that's come before us before had to have a plan. We had to look at that. We had to see that, how they were going to provide jobs. There's nothing here. I mean, they've had to have a plan somewhere along the line. So, it kind of...
Yeah, I think you're talking about the Little League field.
Yes.
Yeah, no, there's not going to be a bar there. No, I was referring to the existing building.
Well, so then what happens if, and I've heard that they've applied for a license, and it was 2 days after the town council meeting on here's the copy. It was applied for a receipt from September the 12th, 2 days after. Now, I know that you got more involved in getting everything ready, so they've had to be working on this. So is their thought, their process is, okay, we need to try to get some other property here, because if somebody, a local citizen complains, they have 30 days in order to do this. If they complain that they don't want that there, the ABC board could not grant them a license. So maybe that's why they want everything done so quick. I don't know. But, you know, just when you start seeing all this other stuff come together, it makes you wonder, you know, and we've been involved in it from the word go when it started happening. Of course, and I know how all that stuff works and how you got to fight and make things happen, but it placed some more things in my head after that last time.
Sure.
When the back of the dragon applied for the loan, my first question to everyone at the table was, why that location? That location inconvenes the Little League field. And I said, they walk from that field to the gas station. Why that location? I understand it's a private sale. There's nothing we could do about it, but I felt like the location was inconsiderate. And now you're asking to expand. You knew from day one when you picked that location you were going to expand. I've heard several times that you've knocked on the people's door that live there. You've knocked on the school board's door too, because you want to use that area as well. And so you knew that the location you originally got was not going to be sufficient enough for what you wanted to do. And now it's like our hands are tied. Do you want economic growth, or do you want to save the Little League field for the kids? And I think that's completely unfair. I also agree with you when you say we should have, if this was the plan that was going to be turned over to us, we should have been at meeting day one. You're asking us to make a decision based off of the hearsay we've heard and then this thrown together contract, which is what you say is the dates can be changed, things can be changed, but you're asking us to make a decision. You say it's a rush decision. You're saying we're moving quickly, but why isn't the back of the dragon moving quickly with their plans so that the plans can be here for us to make a formal decision? We're making a decision based off of something's gonna go there, we don't know what. I don't think that's fair for us to have to make a decision when we don't know what's going there.
Right.
And why can't the fields be built before they're even allowed to make changes to the Little League field?
Well, who in their right mind would, as a purchaser, would sign a contract like this when, for all they know, if we don't get funds to build a field, we can't get the property, or it could take 5 years, it could take 10 years.
Or never.
Or never. Why in the world would somebody purchasing $300,000 piece of property even sign something like this?
Okay.
I think my problem.
That's exactly right.
That was the intent.
Well,
and that was the
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's the point. And one of those 4 conditions that were put in there were for the point of saying that this is not going to close. The IDA is not going to transfer, we recommend to transfer any property unless all these other conditions are met. So the fields don't go anywhere, nothing moves, nothing happens, and the purchaser has to realize that going in. That was the whole point of that, looking for the protection.
Well, in my opinion, they're not a very good business person. As a business person, I would never, ever sign a contract like that.
Well, and they
It
may
doesn't
not.
make any sense. Have they not seen it?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, they've seen it. And
they're still
they're
on
ready to
board.
go.
Yes.
Yeah.
You know, here's the other question. Here's the other side. When it comes to this license to put in a brewery, and it specifically states a brewery, not an ABC license, and you know that if anybody else wants to see it. The council meeting was on the 10th. 2 days later, they applied for this license. Were there any promises made by somebody to the back of the dragon saying, don't worry about it, it's a done deal?
I truly think, I was here
I mean,
at
I
that
don't
meeting.
wonder.
I was here at that town council meeting, and I truly feel when he walked out of here, this is just my opinion, he felt it was a done deal. Because everyone besides one person
Somebody
on
must
town
have- They wouldn't
council,
apply for this license that quickly.
everyone on that town council except one person agreed. So I felt he walked out of here and thought it was a done deal.
No, there's no question. There's no question.
But I also think everyone on town council thought it was a done deal too. That's my personal opinion. I felt like everyone up there thought it's a done deal. Because yes, we do want our kids to have new field. None of us are saying
Who doesn't
that.
want that?
Everybody wants that, but we don't want it we don't have a great track record. And that includes me. There's not a great track record from the things that we say we're gonna do and our follow through. And I appreciated your approach when you say, I'm gonna swing at everything. We would want someone who's gonna swing at everything, but we also want someone that's gonna that's going to take a step back and be like,
Exactly.
is this the right swing?
Exactly.
Every pitch is not, it may look good, but it may not be the right swing. And that's what I don't want. I don't want to do to the kids in this community. That Little League field means more to them than anything out here. And it's hard
It's
to.
a shallow state.
In the
It's
in,
raised right now.
yeah, in the shape that it's in, they still love it.
That's our fault then.
No, it's not.
Well, whose fault is it?
It goes back to Little League.
Is it their
Yeah.
responsibility?
Yes, it's under their lease, that's what their agreement was, for them to maintain
Well,
the
then we
field.
need to call them in and say, look here, folks.
If they don't have the funds to fix it and it's feasible, then they're just going to use it. The kids don't care about the shape
Okay,
that
here's
it's
the
in.
other side of that. If they have always maintained that field on donations.
Right, that's exactly correct.
Well, we're talking about building a $1.7 million field based on donations and grants. If we can't get it to paint the press box at the Little League field as it stands today and fix that crumbling wall, what makes you think we're going to be able to raise $1.7 million?
Or more.
But that's our out.
That's the whole
I
reason.
get you, but that still doesn't make it right though, Sean.
Well, I agree.
We have no plan, it's another thing. And that was the thing I said the other night, and that's the biggest sticking point with me is I'm not for or against at this point. We don't have a plan. We don't have any designated property that we're looking at specifically. We don't have any plans. We don't have any idea how we're going to fund it, how we're going to pay for that funding, and what sort of a timeframe we're looking at. We have, well, you have stated a tentative figure in here, but we don't know because we don't have any plans.
That's right. You're
We have
exactly
zero.
right.
I'm not sure, you're exactly right, but I'm still not understanding where you're going with it. That's the whole purpose of putting that in writing. You know, the
Why
idea.
bother to sell it to it? Why can't, just put it
It's not
off?
going
If they're
to.
not going to be able, if we sign this agreement to sell this piece of property to the back of the dragon, even with all of these, what ifs, and it never happened, why not just go ahead and get a clean slate to begin with?
I don't know, I'm sorry, I just don't know what you mean.
Well, I don't have any plan, Todd. Either you got a plan or you don't.
But why can't we wait to vote until we have a plan?
Well, I'll say this, and I think there's some wonderful comments around the table. I will also say this one from another practical standpoint. From my personal opinion, the track record of completing projects down on that end has not been very impressive. And so that would be one of my concerns, is if this thing were to go through, that for 5 years we've got an eyesore down there because nothing is being completed. So I think that's a concern of mine also, right? And I completely get what you're saying, and I appreciate it. I think what we're seeing here with number 4 that says, here's what you've got to do before the closing date, and knowing that the closing date is a month from now, less than 30 days away, I'm just not sure how this would even happen.
Exactly.
Then why are we even bothering? Why are we having this conversation?
So I will try and answer that question.
Okay.
I'll do my best to
All
try to
right.
answer.
Give it a good shot.
Okay, so we have a little bit field. And I know since I've been here, they've been to the cancel, I don't know how many times to replace lights or different things, and y'all know it's deteriorated. So again, Jay came in and wants to buy the Little League field. And according to the deed on the property, we can now, there was a time frame where we couldn't, but it's expired by many years, but we can sell that property, but the proceeds of the property, according to the deed, have to be put back into another facility.
Right.
So, for whatever reason, Jay said, well, I will give you $300,000 cash, and we can raise the additional funds to
Hold on
build.
just one second. Who's we?
Well, he could have said, he says the IDA, the town, he could have said Todd Day. And to build 2 new fields. So,
Are you gonna go knock on doors?
no,
Ask for
I'm
donations?
not, I got a town to run.
And that's why I wanted to know who was we. When you
Yeah.
said we.
It's the IDA, the town, the citizens, the Shot Foundation, the Tobacco Commission, whoever you'd like to view that as. You have to understand, and I know I can see, it was done for the Little League, not back of the Dragon. This was totally done for the Little League, and it's a snapshot in time. And as you said, 6 months from now, 3 months from now, all these dates change. They're no longer alive. So let's say he gave us $300,000. Now, somebody, regardless of who, has to come up with the additional funds. And we don't know how much the additional funds is going
Not
to be.
getting the funds.
The additional funds depends on where the 2 new fields are going to be built at. Well, I don't have a magic wand. I don't know what the geotechnical is going to show on another piece of property. Nobody does. So if those funds are not raised, it don't happen. It's simple as that. It doesn't happen.
If
It
those
doesn't.
funds are not raised by closing date of November
No,
1st.
that date could change till 2022. It just depends.
Well, now I don't feel comfortable.
Let's
Less comfortable.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying, why are we even fooling with this thing? I mean,
Bring the
Again,
money to the table
Again.
that's raised, and then let's have the conversation.
again, it was for Little League's understanding that we've got your back, not back of the Dragon. Do you think back of the Dragon can
but
be?
Todd, I'm telling you, I'm not saying that's not what you and the council and everybody else sitting at this table has in our hearts and in our minds.
Sure.
That is the general perception of the citizens of the town of Tazewell. We have not done our job
Right.
to build trust. I don't know what happened. I don't know how it came to this, but, and quite frankly, the people at the back of the Dragon have not done a very good PR job
Right.
for what, it, you know, and I don't have to tell you that, because you know that. And they sat here the other night and talked down yelling at the kids crossing the parking lot.
Right.
And then you've got all these that live around the ball fields and all these rumors that are going around about outdoor theaters or whatever it is, amphitheaters with concerts going till who knows what time in the morning, open containers and they, you know, all this, I mean, and all that concern and you know, and they're saying not one person knocked on their door, not one. And that's not an uncommon practice when you're moving into a residential area, whether it's a city or a town, and you want to put something in, you go door to door and you ask people, you know, this is what we're proposing to do. You know, what do you think? None of that has happened. So they haven't done their part either, in all fairness. Now, I realize we can't control them, and we can't, you know, be their moral compass. I know that. But we do not have the trust of the citizens of the town of Tazewell. And you're a parent, and you're a parent, and everybody else here at this table, you and I are parents. But know that when it comes to your children, you know, you're going to protect them with whatever it takes.
Can I ask a few more questions?
Absolutely, that's what we're here for, yeah.
All right, thank
you. The argument's good, we need to do that.
Yes. I seem to be getting a little different perspective now. So back to changing dates. And so when I'm looking at this closing date, that could be changed, but only changed by the seller, which would be this group.
Sure.
Okay?
So in other words, and we're also the group that would essentially identify what Little League needs actually are. And it could be another 1.7 million, or it could be another 3.2 million, right? Okay. So, okay, let me collect my thoughts for a second. So in other words, if we were to enter into this, we still maintain all of the control until it becomes something that we really want it to be 5 years out.
Until you raise the money.
Until there was $5 million raised that we determined that we found the property and it's going to take $5 million. Until all of that actually happens, nothing would change with our current Little League field.
You got it. That's exactly.
Think about this for a second, folks. I mean, think about it this way. We are still in control. Nothing is going to happen. If $300,000 are handed to us, we can still push this thing off for 10 years, theoretically, right? Until we identify the right solution for our folks. So this really does kind of keep us in the driver's seat.
And that's the whole idea.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
I understand what you're saying.
Yeah.
And this is also, I'll throw this one more thing in here, guys. This was a proposed draft. What happened with the night council was just for them to vote to transfer the property to the IDA, and that was it. That was it. One thing, for you all to have control of the property, which they still haven't done. They voted to approve to do that. This was simply a draft proposal that included components that the Tazewell Little League wanted to have to make sure that they were protected for the purpose of keeping the fields either at that location, if this doesn't happen, or at another location that meets all these other criteria. And that was it. That was the basic format, and literally format.
And it is.
With a lot of,
It
still
is
a small
a
detail.
reflection of the Little League board and what they want for the board. I want to emphasize that. So you had the chair, who was Brenda Roberts was here. You also had Rich Patterson. Judge Patterson was here. And Joey, who was,
Joey Smith.
yeah, was here that night. That's what they asked for. The exact same temporary fixes at Lincolnshire while, if we had to go that route. So, again, as Brad said, that's what we're here for, look at it. There's nobody pushing you to a vote. And anyway,
And I'll tell you what I just talked myself into. We know we're in disrepair down there, but we haven't done anything about it. And here's an opportunity for us to do something. Here's an opportunity for us to take a real hard look at what's it going to be, or what do we need to serve our community and provide Little League players with what they need.
junior golf fields.
Because
But if we know that the Little League, if we're quote unquote saying we're for the kids, if we know the Little League field needs repair and we've done nothing about it all these years, are we really for the kids?
Well, I don't agree with that, Julie. That's not true at all. You know how much money we spend on our youth a year?
No, I'm not saying the youth. I'm not saying everyone. I do know that we do things for certain sports. I absolutely agree. I'm just saying if we're going to say we're for the kids and we know that the Little League needs repair and we've done nothing, does that reflect that from an outside standpoint?
It may do it, but I can tell you that if I could afford to do those repairs, I've got a brain. I would have done them, and the previous management would have done it, and the future the existing council would have done it. It's obvious those fields are in disrepair.
But we haven't knocked on people's doors for donations about that, but we're willing, now that we've got some economic growth coming in and taking over, now let's knock on these doors and ask for help.
Because somebody's willing to build them free. Yeah, is that not what
And
For free.
Yeah, they're going to build those fields. It's not going to cost you one dime. It's not going to
That's
cost
not the way I read that.
Me neither.
Well, tell me where it's
Through
confusing.
donations and
It says the town and the IDA
Yeah.
need to come up with
Yeah.
that.
So what if you don't? Okay, so
And
let's
then we're
tweak
trying to
it.
make it sound like Shop Foundation.
Which is gonna build us
and,
new build.
you know, Or whoever.
But that's where the money would come from.
Who else is gonna do
You
that?
gotta find them,
But here's the thing, if they don't pay up, then nothing happens.
and then in the meantime, our Little League field sit down there looking disgraceful.
Well, but I would say this, I want to throw this out.
And what do? They abandoned, they're mad at us because we wouldn't sell them anything, so it's just not handled properly. We didn't get the word out the way we should have. I think we need to regroup and let's start all over again.
Look, you've got a perfect chance to do it.
Well, that's what we've been trying to do, but unfortunately, we came late to the party,
Here we are.
and that's what we're telling you.
Now, how do you want to proceed? How do you guys want to proceed?
I think we need a plan from them on what they propose to do and have a lot more than just promises of, here, we're gonna give you $300,000, it's gonna cost $1.7 million or more to build that. How are we gonna do that? Some ideas, and if we're gonna do something out of the Lincolnshire of those hills, a plan or design of how those hills look like, what it's gonna cost to do that kind of stuff. We've asked everybody else that come before us to give us a plan. And then
Because if
that
you
needs
think about
good jobs.
Nobody's gonna say, hey, I would like to purchase this field to expand, but I don't know what I'm gonna do yet.
Exactly, and
It
that's
doesn't
what I
make
said
sense
the
at
other
all.
night. Makes no
Nobody's
sense
gonna
to
say
me.
that. Nobody's gonna say, I wanna expand, can I buy this piece of land, but I don't know what I'm gonna put there
Well,
yet.
Well, part of it, of the four things we did put in there, they've got to have a business plan before you all that's going to be acceptable to you. I mean, that's point number
I'm telling you,
one.
I was for the sale of the Little League field when I first heard about it. I was like, great, we get new fields, we get growth, this is amazing. Until I sat in that town council meeting in September. And I was like, they did not plan report, that's kind of inconsiderate. And then other people raised things that I'm guilty of not even thinking about. And it just makes you think, like, who are you getting in bed with? I don't know who I'm getting in bed with because they don't have a plan. They're not giving us the entire funds to build the Little League fields. They're saying we'll give you this much and then we'll try to raise this much. So you don't know who you're getting in bed with. You're just like, oh, growth, let me get in bed with you.
Did you say the other night, correct me if I'm, that they were conducting or had a feasibility study back at the Dragon on the Little League field?
Yes, your mayor's doing it, yes.
And when is that, do you know when that's supposed to?
I don't know, I think.
So they don't even know what.
I know regardless of, their work, regardless of what happens, they want to move forward with it. So even if the Shamera report comes back negative, and this is coming straight from Jay, they still want to move forward with it.
Is it because they can't get the brewery?
I don't have an answer for that.
Well, what's
I don't-
code say?
I think
What does the code say in regards to putting in a brewery next to a Little League field?
Ours is done, that's ABC.
Yeah, it's strictly ABC, strictly ABC. Ours, we have, it's B2.
I know that, but
It's B2. And you're not going to have, and I would have to be like, I don't have the answer for you
Well,
on
somebody brought it up
Virginia
in the meeting the
ABC.
other night.
on Tuesday, someone brought it up, and I
Yes,
thought
they
someone
did.
had an answer.
And said
but I
that
can't
it
recall.
could not.
Yeah, that was Don McCann.
And he read quoted code or whatever, which I don't know.
He quoted codes and said it couldn't be near a governmental building, et cetera, but if that was the truth, it wouldn't be none of it on Main Street. That's right, it wouldn't be none of it on Main
But
Street.
then as we get into that, I'd like to see what he quoted, if it was a Virginia Administrative Code, maybe he may have coded, maybe should be quoted, or something from Virginia ABC, and I've only dealt with the ABC.
I think we've got-
on a couple, just for.
In order to get that
Generally not
license,
purple.
do you have to be in town limits in order to get that license?
No, I can take that much, no, you don't.
Let me,
Okay,
That's pretty
let me
much.
bring it, we're talking about locations and different things. And the other night, I think you brought up the property out of the middle school.
right.
Now, are you talking about the property the school board owns and the property
Yes.
that the county owns that was given to them
No.
by Don Hunter?
Now, that's 9 acres across, no, I'm talking about the property school board owns.
Okay.
And the daily property above, to the left when you go in.
Timberwood Jim's, old place.
Has anybody approached Mr. Bailey?
Yes.
And he's okay with selling
He
it?
won't sell it to the school board.
I know he won't. I was gonna say, has anybody talked to him? Yeah, I heard that. Well, I also heard that the county, and I understand that the county, that land that was given to them by Don Dunford, they can't build a structure on it because it's got cave on it.
Yeah.
But I also understand that they appropriated
the case.
$15,000, and they either have done or are doing a feasibility study on that property.
I don't know.
So I don't know. So, I mean, I'm just saying,
I know the town's not
There might-
implementing anything.
That's fine, that's probably the boosters on that.
yeah.
It was from above Scott Cole.
Okay, also, yeah, that's right. Also, you were talking about the CNX
Yes.
property. There's 90 acres there. And I understand it is for sale.
Yes.
Has anybody approached them with?
Yes.
For a tax deduction, giving?
Yes.
And what was
Yeah,
their response?
I'm in direct communication with Mary Beth.
Okay, and what was? Okay, what are they saying?
We're hovering unofficially around 300 right now.
They wouldn't be willing to make a donation to the town
I would,
as a tax write-off?
I'll tell you that
It's
my-
good PR.
I'll tell you that my,
They'll write them up in the newspaper, and we'll get them on TV. They want to dress up.
I'll tell you
We'll all
that
show up, right?
my email to him was a $200,000 offer plus a tax write-off for the additional tax assessed value of the property and negotiate, I don't have the power to do that, can't do that, but to negotiate the possibility of naming the fields to recognize a donation from CNX. And that started up really good.
Can I just say something?
Sure.
This is the kind of information we've been waiting to hear about.
Well,
Why did I have to pull it out of you just to get this?
I didn't know you wanted to know that, but that's
Well, tell me
Well,
this.
that's what
We've been saying, what's the plan?
What's the plan?
The idea here is to replace the fields, and it's got 7 miles, and I don't like that either, but, you know, I work for the town camp, we meet once a month. So I'm carrying the ball for IDA on businesses doing, you know, a lot of stuff, and Lord knows that I can't communicate like I want to.
We're easy to work with.
You are. But we're actively looking. I am actively
Okay.
looking for property. So I'm just I don't have anything to bring back to town council. I've got a meeting on the 14th. I'm on the agenda at the school board to look at that property. I've talked to a couple of school board members. I'm negotiating with CNX on the property out there. I do not have a solid figure yet. We're getting there. Hopefully, maybe even tomorrow I'll have a number, but it's still, that's a number I'm going to take back to Jay Shop.
Okay.
And I'm going to say, Jay, other than the 300, you need to come up with another 250,000. That's just a start. And it's just a process.
I understand. Here's a recommendation for me, and jump in anywhere you want to. If we've got all these negotiations or whatever we're going through at this time, why not put this thing off until we have got something concrete that we can bring to the public to show them good faith and try and earn some of their trust back?
Right.
Because I'm gonna tell you, it's at an all-time low right now. And you know that. We all
I
know
agree.
it, and we don't have to. And listen, if they're willing to wait 5 years or whatever it takes for us to raise the funds and find a piece of property, then I don't think 30 or 60 days is gonna make a big difference.
I honestly don't either, but I will absolutely, if you want me to take that back to council and look
I
at
do.
it, I will
I do.
absolutely do
And then
that.
I think they need to bring a plan of what they want to do, how they want to do it. Everything needs to be out there because, you know, it's kind of like home.
Everything's being done in secret. That's what they think.
Right.
And maybe the people on the Little League board aren't very good communicators either, if what you're telling me is they know everything that's going on and they've been in these
I
meetings.
understand that works with regard regards to what report I've been in. I was there at that meeting with them to go over anything and everything.
But the
that they
general
want.
public doesn't know that.
I can assure
We
you.
don't even
We don't even know that.
I will
And that's
take
why
that.
we're sitting here having this conversation.
I will
I
take
have a
that.
clue.
I'll
Will
take
you
back
do
the
that?
council, whatever you guys want to do, but I can assure you.
Well, that right now is my recommendation.
We'll do that, and that's not a problem.
Okay.
I can assure you that there are more Little League parents that are wanting you to do this than the handful.
Oh, I don't doubt that. There's no question.
They're the ones that are gonna come out. It's not the 4 or 5 that you're chatting with on Facebook or social media.
Wow.
They're the ones that come out, so.
And I understand that because they've been promised new fields out of this deal, okay? This new field may not happen for 5, 10 years down the road,
Right.
but they want satisfaction right now. Next week, I want to see the ground moving and dirt.
I know most of the Little League parents that I know that are for the sell to get new fields think that they're getting new fields 2020, 2021, the beginning of
Yeah, that's
2021.
exactly right.
They think they're
And
getting
that's
fields
not the way it
2020.
works.
And if that's not the way that it works, then they're saying, yes, this is what we want, but they're being misled.
Right.
Because they all think like, yes, I'm for it because we're gonna get new fields 2021.
Well, I think if this information kind of goes public, because this is kind of what we're talking about, I think we as citizens of Tazewell need to know that this is the catalyst that's made this happen. Because we could just be sitting around on our thumbs and not doing anything about Little League fields. I mean, this is making something happen, so let's at least acknowledge that. And I think that's a positive thing. I think we need to make it a positive thing, you know?
I mean, the process, if it's done and everything's out there, it's gonna be a wonderful thing for the listener, no doubt in my mind. But there's a whole lot of unanswered questions, and I know we can't get those until you got property, you gotta do this, this. But I agree with Phoebe, we need to wait and look at this a little later.
What if the weight takes this off the board?
And you go-
What if the weight takes this away and this is no longer an option?
Okay, let me ask the question, follow to that. Last night, when Joe and them were talking about, the great idea of going ahead and doing some work with Lincolnshire. Okay, I sort of got the impression, and I could have been totally wrong, I sort of got the impression, okay, we're gonna go ahead and do that.
Right,
And have two fields ready.
We're gonna do that
So,
anyway.
the Little League's gonna have a field, or 2 fields.
So you are saying right now that we're gonna work on the Lincolnshire?
Yeah, we've already got the bases, we've already got the temporary fence.
They agreed to that the other night.
I saw that, but I didn't know if it was, oh, that's a great idea, or that's what we're gonna do.
Well, the public perceived it as that's what we're
And
going
that's,
to do.
yeah,
Done deal.
so.
Yeah, that was a good idea.
And I can't remember who it was it Little League spoke up and said they put the batting cap, or did we do that? Put the deal for the batting cap. I can't remember.
Oh, no, if anything's been out there, we do it.
Okay.
So that was a positive thing that came out.
Well, but to get back, so what you're saying, Sean, is you think if we don't do this now, then the back of the dragon is going to say,
No, I'm not saying that, but I'm saying, let's play what if. What if we push back? This deal dries up, will we ever do anything with Little League fields? That's what I'm getting at.
If we're about the kids, then yeah, we'll still go knock on doors and ask for donations to fix what we have, if we're really about the kids.
And I want to go ahead and say this also. I've played on those Little League fields, and there have been lots of improvements over the past couple of decades. I think we need to go public with that. It's not perfect, and the parking there's not the best. Parking at Lincolnshire is not the best
No.
either, folks, right? I mean, so to me, knowing that we could do something at Lincolnshire, that's nice, but there's no real improvement. It's going to take something.
A larger facility in order to make it happen the way, but we need a plan. An idea.
What a fucking problem. I'm so glad that Harry's problem.
well, we really are. And, but for me, what I think we need to do is let's let's wait and see
Jotting it down.
what sort of,
Let
you know,
people know.
okay, about when you go to the school board, what you hear from them, what we hear from CNX.
Right. What do you want me to tell cancel? You know, make a motion on what you want me to tell cancel.
How to form it. Somebody else more.
Just go ahead and form it the way you kind of, that we want to make a motion that we want to put this back to them and put it off for a while until we get more, table until we get more information.
In regards to a location.
Please don't think
You
I'm,
haven't said much. How do you feel?
I'm the chair, I just listen to you all.
please don't think me argumentative, because I'm not that kind of a guy.
No, you're bringing up great points. And you haven't.
Well, I don't have kids, but I think the field there can only be improved so much. They need new fields.
Well,
You've got a problem, guy. Haven't said a whole lot here. I'm trying to stay out of it in terms of land impact as a resident who lives down there.
Sure.
Who's lived there longer than anybody that lives down there right now outside of Fred and I did.
yeah,
Grew up there, played on those fields, see them day in and day out.
yeah.
And you've got a problem when they put those fields in back in 1915. They got that property first used as a football field for Tazewell High School.
I remember.
Drainage, and more drainage problems. And they're never going to get rid of them unless they completely, literally spend more money than the property's probably worth to get them to where you get proper drainage for those fields. The last big renovation they did within the last 10 years was they went in and built the wall and built the dugouts. Dugouts were built below grade. Every time we have any type of rain, of course we haven't had any in the last 2 months, they flood horribly to the point to where you can't even play on them, sometimes for days at a time. They built that nice new wall, donated funds, I think, and raised funds and block and labor, and didn't take the time to properly seal them and maintain them. And now they're literally at the point to where it's going to have to be torn down, literally, because it wasn't properly maintained. Little League does what they can. Every year, it's that 80-20 rule. You get 20% of the parents and 80% of the work or less.
That's true.
To try to raise the funds and the labor to go out there and maintain everything from fencing to proper safeguards along the top of the fences and let out in the outfield, the proper backstops and cushioning pads that aren't maintained by the teams when they play with them, play and use them. And you look over there now, a lot of the protective netting is coming down because it's not regularly maintained by the existing Little League folks because they're limited in their resource and manpower. They're stretched thin. And I see it year after year. It doesn't change. You get a couple of folks out there that work really, really hard to really bust their cans to make that place great for their kids. But you never see anything that really changes the overall functional ability and use of those properties. I've got a youngster now, she's 8. She played in girls softball this year and was fortunate enough to make the All-Stars, and we traveled. And we went to different facilities in Richlands and in Grundy, and you see what both location and money can do for a place. And right now, with what we've got down here, I love having a Little League. Don't get me wrong, I do. I'm looking out there and reading the paper at 10 o'clock at night when they're playing games because I can do it in my backyard because of all the lights. I mean, it has its drawbacks to it for me, but I love it being there. But the fact of the matter is, it's come to the point where that location is true. To me, as a resident down there, we can do better. And we can.
I don't live in, and I don't know where you all live. How is the biker noise for you?
I don't see any different from any other traffic. I really don't. I know David made the comment about all the noise.
Gosh, that's what we prayed for. It's been back.
The one thing I noticed, and I noticed is just 2 weekends ago, I can't remember anything in particular. I came up on Main Street and I counted this was at one 15-minute spot, 22 different motorcycles on Main Street, all stretched out between the brewery, Painted Pete, between Irma's Place, the coffee shop, and Serena's Wings, all here in town. I don't know that I got woken up in the morning that morning because of the biker noise. That's just not the issue. I think if you had maybe 300 or 400 come in at one time, sure, you're going to have more noise and you're going to have the
But
traffic.
it'd be a good issue to have.
From my
That's what
point
we
of
want.
view,
That's what we've been trying to.
But we're not even talking about that here. Nobody here until just now has anybody mentioned anything derogatory in terms of, said anything derogatory about the bikers happening.
No, I don't think the bikers are gangs and
I
gonna bring
can't
that
disagree
type of
with you.
violence.
The Little League fields are an eyesore. I said that the other night. There's no question about it. And I drive by him almost every day going to my dad's house. And he lives right down below me. And, but I think we need, we have lost the trust of the general public, whether they have children involved in sports or not. We need to step back. We need to let's take a deep breath. Let's see what CNX is going to put on the table. Let's see what the school board is going to put on the table. If they're willing to wait 5 years to back of the dragon, then I guarantee you, they're going to be willing to wait another 60 days.
They might have to wait 20 years if they don't raise the money. I want to make that clear that that was my example. They might have, if they don't raise the money, it never happens.
I understand that, but I think that we need to have something to give the general public to chew on.
And I would.
Right now,
when you
we don't
say-
have anything for them to chew on.
When you say give them something to chew on from Little League, or from Little League and Back of the Dragon, or just Back of the Dragon, what you say? Something to
Back of
chew
the
on.
Dragon.
From Back of the Dragon.
Yeah,
So we have-
I'm saying both. Let's give them something from the Little League. I mean, we need to, listen, the Little League people that are opposed to selling a field need to have something to chew on. So let's go see what CNX is going to bring to the table. If they're willing to sell us the land or give it to us or whatever they want to do for a tax write-off, or see what the school board is willing to do. If they're willing to deed us this land to build these fields, we've got a starting point. Right now, we don't have anything. All we've got is a dilapidated Little League field that everybody talks about what a dinosaur is.
And we wouldn't be doing any of this if it wasn't for this.
And I have a question. Playing devil advocate. Let's say we sign this, plain hypothetical, we sign this. And come November 1st, they haven't raised the funds or whatever date, there's really no real date, it's an imaginary date. Come the beginning of Little League season, what happens?
They play a little bit.
And at Lincolnshire, because it'll be ready too, so we'll pay 4 pages instead of 2.
We'll add that anyway, though.
So we're gonna add the Lincolnshire fields anyways, and if they don't come up with the funds, then they still get to play down here.
Right.
Yeah.
Nothing has changed.
Nothing changes.
I understand.
Yeah, nothing changes. And you
So
can- the way I-
when does something change? Because maybe I'm
When
confused.
they meet all these requirements,
I think you're right.
and the land is identified, and we come up with a price tag, and that money is available to make it happen.
So until then,
That's
we're
the only
just-
time it changes.
Hallelujah, hallelujah.
So we're just signing this and we're saying nothing changes until you meet all of these things, which could be tomorrow or which could be 5 years from now. But say November 1st, they say, okay, we've met everything, we're ready. What happens to then they take control of the Little League field, and when do our fields? Like, we have no alternative plan then.
I'm going to answer your question, at least to the best of my ability. Depending on, regardless of what time of the year it is, winter, spring, summer, or fall, let's say we've identified a spot. We've done geotechnical work on it, we know how deep the rock is, we know how much it's going to cost, we've bid it out. We're already 2 years down the road, by the way. So they finally raise the funds, and they bring them to us, and they say, here's the funds. Step 2 says, okay, thank you for the funds, let's leave them right here. What are you going to do about Little League fields? That's in here. It plainly asks, you have to identify to the IDA board what you're going to do to the Little League.
So then once they tell us then it comes back to the IDA, what they're gonna do with it.
And
then at that point, do we get to say, no, we don't agree with that plan, or is it too late?
You never have to sign that. When you sign it, they met those things. When you sign this, we're not looking for a signature. As Brad stated, we're only looking to get what you want to do with a draft, how you want to proceed forward with it. That's it. They have to meet those 4 criteria in there, or this deal doesn't happen.
Let me add, and I hear what you're saying, but why is this agreement, this contract different than any other contract
Great
that we've
question.
worked on in
question.
transferring property over to another, the bowling alley, there was jobs tied to that.
The theater.
So why we are not doing this here?
It was specifically done, again, it was specifically put together, the contract, we didn't have to have it. The IDA held county council didn't need it to take advantage of the legislative right that you have. We did it specifically to show Little League. I know Lisa gets a kick out of this, but we do have your back. And we've never not had it.
But that is not the perception.
That's not the perception.
And that's, unfortunately, that's why we're here right now having this discussion.
Well, if they,
I don't know how we can remedy that. I think one step, excuse me, Sean,
No,
in
no,
the
you're
right
fine.
direction is to go forward with, and if anybody else has any other ideas, right now, that's the only idea I come up with, is with the properties, that, to see, you know, what they're willing to do. And then,
so you don't want to reword the contract in any way. You want to leave it like it is, but you want me to let council know that you're good with the contract, but you want me to get the
I
policy.
would like the 7 mile deals in there.
no, that's not acceptable.
Okay, well, that's what we're, anything that you'd like for Ray to take back to the council.
I, again, have no problem. You give me whatever you think that you feel is appropriate to modify. I'll come up with the language and put it back in.
CNX, excuse my ignorance, CNX, where's that located?
If you go out,
Where the football field is at the end of the.
It's on the west end of the
football
football
field.
field. Where the cows are?
Back towards the cemetery.
Okay,
That's
To the
it.
west, yeah.
See, they bought 90 acres in there several years ago with the idea of them to build a home office there. And for whatever reason, they never did. So now, George Van Dyke's running cattle on it.
okay.
It was their property again, when they just kept doing whatever they were doing.
Yeah.
So is it like,
They paid for them to raise their cows.
so when you turn down.
I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah.
I just never, didn't know it was called CNX, so,
But
okay.
that's what everybody's referring to, and then, of course, you know the lay of that land. So they have to go through and do a little bit of grade work.
Because they would have to do grade work at the middle school as well, right?
Yeah,
Anywhere we go, there's not a flat piece.
No.
So I agree with talking to the middle school and CNX that I think the field should be in town. I really do.
And if he's already in talks with them, let's see what they bring back, see what you bring back to the table, okay?
Sure.
After you talk to them. And in the meantime, I mean, I've got my own marked up anyway, but, you know, the rest of you all, if you know, have anything to put in or delete or whatever, then let's, you bring back your report to us, take it to the council, tell them what we said. And
And are we able to call another IDA meeting if we need to?
Anytime you want.
You know.
Anytime you want.
Let's do that.
So what will be the next action at that next IDA meeting? What's our goal?
So maybe we wait till we hear back what he,
Get recommendations back to me.
once he gets, we hear from what CNX says and once we hear what the school board says.
We put- These conditions were in here before to protect Little League. They were to protect Little League. So if you think the IDA needs more protection.
Well, and I will say this, what will we do based on that information?
Well, I
What if those don't pan out?
I will let you know, when I came to that town council meeting, I was for self. After that, I was like, after having this discussion, I came in here, I told my husband, I was like, I'm not for self. But after digging deep, digging in, keep asking questions, everyone was asking questions. And that's when I was like, so we don't think they're still gonna play that? I mean, if we sign this and they don't come up with the funds, we're still gonna.
Well, and Marty.
Well, maybe we need to just go back and
You got to
move forward.
Yeah, see, that's what
No, but what I'm saying, that it made me feel like, well, maybe I'm fine with moving forward. If they don't come up with funds and they can still get to play, and now,
This is-
now.
That's the way I think.
That I'm not completely agree with. I feel like it wouldn't be a topic of discussion.
Well, we wouldn't even be talking about a new Little League
And
field
I'm
had this
very
proposal come through. You know, that's,
David, I heard what David.
So I'm saying like, at first, when I first came here, I was like, no. But now I feel like, hold on, maybe I read it wrong when he explained, if they don't come up with the funds, March, they're still gonna play right there. Then it's, okay, well, maybe we should move
I'm
forward.
very, I didn't even think of it.
is the 300,000
I get it.
refundable?
I'm closer than they
Or
were.
is it
I know,
out?
and I get that.
They can't even see
Well,
it
if
from
it
where they
didn't
were.
happen, obviously, it would have
See it in
delivered.
my can.
Oh, they can. They
Yeah,
want
that's
the
fine.
contract.
We need some earnest
It's
money.
literally.
That's what I was asking, right?
people, I mean, Jay Shot or Larry, I don't know who these people are. Just say, look, we're getting some pushback on this saying, we need to take something to the people and say, what do you propose to do with it? Are you going to put it in an amphitheater? Are you going to put these tiny houses with garages under them? Are they permanent structures? Blah, blah. Okay, they can get something. We've got to take something to the public.
Jay,
How do you feel?
By the way, what are they going to do with that house next door to me? I'm not real concerned about that. What about the Lynn's house?
yeah, they've not made a proposal to the town.
Well, it closed at 30. It closed at 30.
All fifty. All
You
50.
ever put an amphitheater in that?
Oh, my God. I don't listen to the concert.
If it's anything,
No good deed goes unpunished. That's what I'm just saying.
if it's anything outside of an R1, they have to bring it to the town.
I know they
So
do.
if it's a bed and breakfast.
But
they
you
gotta
haven't
bring
heard
it.
anything. Okay.
I've only heard chatter.
That's what I've heard, but
And what chatter did you hear?
well, I heard a B&B, and then I heard that it was going to be a party venue, like for, wedding receptions and different things, and, I don't know.
Nobody does, nothing brought to me.
I-
But see,
Some
the
concern.
feeling that you have is the feeling that some of those people that live
That's
by the
true.
Lake feel
That's
have.
true. It's true. Well, mine is not probably as strong as theirs, because I think that they're going to be limited in what they can do over there.
Mhm.
I'm not worried about a budget.
Any of it can be limited because we have ordinances.
Sure.
If there's not an ordinance in place, my neighborhood knows, we went to town council for 2 years to get a barking dog ordinance.
Oh, I remember that.
So that's what got me started going to town council meetings. So, yeah.
Yeah, the whole-
So anything that's going to be done,
Oh, yeah.
ordinance to stop it.
I think the biggest thing that I'm learning out of this, and again, I've admitted it a dozen times, if not more, that, the speed in which this happened left a question of transparency, and I understand that.
And that's, unfortunately, that's.
Sure, and it happened, and we just need to move forward, but
We do.
I still feel like that I've not communicated this contract to this board very well. I still think you had a lot of questions, or maybe we need to go over this contract, because I'm hearing things come out that just give me the impression that there's still some questions about the understanding of it. I may be wrong. I know the other night when David was here, David Altizer, he threw out a lot of really good comments, a lot of really good challenging questions. And, I'm not very good at playing attorney, but I also know that he has a direct impact of where he lives at. So I would encourage you don't have to do it tonight, but I would encourage you to ask, and if you can, I'm sure you've read it, but ask any questions you got about the contract. I've got to take something back to council. And, another thing, I totally respect the planning commission's decisions they make. May not always agree. I totally respect the governing body's decisions they make up there. And I've always carried them through. Doesn't mean I always agree, but that's not my job. And I totally respect the views of the IDA. But I still feel like that you've got questions about the contract that we need to discuss.
Where did the 300,000 amount come from?
That was just an offer that Jay made to the town. He
So we
actually,
should negotiate?
Well, the tax assessment, my understanding is $200,000.
It was too
So
bad.
it hasn't been appraised, there's never been an appraisal.
But
It's
see,
been in the tax assessment.
he still could have.
That's my understanding, yes.
Okay.
He still could have came to the town and said, I'm going to give you $10.
Sure.
And the deal that he's offering, and he's read this, the deal that he's offering and it's in here still gets you the same thing. What he
But
offered.
it gets us money now versus going to raise money.
Yeah.
So that's why I asked about the
It's
question.
just,
Okay.
I want to make this clear too. It doesn't necessarily get you money now. That's just that's what he's going to pay when you close. This doesn't say in earnest money, 300,000 down, we're going to let you hold it. No, it doesn't say that.
There's
No,
no
what I'm
option.
saying, like, if we
No.
didn't, if we sold the Little League field for more, then we wouldn't have to fundraise or knock on doors and ask for donations for so much money.
Certainly, that's
Yeah.
the case with anything, right?
So that's what I'm saying, that's why I wanted to question where that amount came from, because if, quote, let's just use your figure of 1.7 million, we're so far off with just 300,000. Even though he's willing to help go seek donations and stuff, we're just so far off from
In
it.
reality, it's, if you read this, you were targeting 2 million. It's 1.7
Well,
above.
and I'll throw this out there too, guys, and that was my fault. I put a number, I could have put 4.7.
Sure.
I just said, I need to put a large number in there for the purposes of letting the purchaser know that this is going to be an expensive proposition, wherever that number is.
Significantly more than just the closing costs.
See, he had offered.
And if you read that, and I tried this,
$300,000 to walk away.
I've got in here,
300,000 to walk away.
for what it was worth, it's expressly understood that the purchaser of the guaranteed funding component of the field's relocation project is clearly blah, blah, and that such total funding requirement amount could reach or exceed over and above the purchase price. That was there for reference purposes for him to know.
Right.
Once these numbers came in about field purchase location, property, all the excavation, installation of utilities, all the things required by Little League Baseball International to make it a Little League certified venue so that they could have tournaments and be Little League certified, all could be at a very hefty price tag that it was going to have to be in place, funded before actual closing could occur. And yes, November 1st made that almost literally mathematical versus anything else feasibility project impossible.
Right.
Again, that was the whole point of saying for the purpose of the Little League, to say these are all the things that are going to have to be in place. And the thing about closing occurring after, with your all's agreement, again, for putting all those components out there to say this is a very, very lofty goal we've got here, but we're not going to go through and sign the dotted line on this to close unless all these conditions are met. And that was the whole.
Okay, so if the point of us is not to sign this tonight, what are you hoping to achieve?
To find out what y'all want in order so that you're happy when the time comes to move forward. That's all we were ever after.
Okay, so we definitely want plans. We want from the back of the dragon, what are your plans? And then we would like an update from you
Okay.
on what the middle schools, well, the school board says, what CNX comes back with.
Okay, so the plans that Brad mentioned, how do you want to change that? Because he's already got that in there.
I think they probably, what I'm hearing is they want a date certain so they can actually have a business plan in front of them.
Okay, so you just want to, instead of before you sign it, which is what it says. Okay.
So they're wanting a pro forma up front before then we actually have a business plan that they would approve that's actually going to
That what you're saying, we can take a look at it, and if the public wants to see it, let them
So
see.
jot it down, Brad, and we'll make that change, whatever how you're hearing that.
Okay.
What is there
It's
any
not
other?
going to let you know.
Why do I not got
Anything will let you know.
Okay, well, let me ask the group this then. What can we as a group, or what does the town need to do to try to get back some of this trust? What needs to happen?
We're working on
Transparency.
that. We're working on that now since all this took place. The community meeting, everything we're doing, it's on Facebook, the video's there. The one the other night was posted on Facebook. So we're doing everything we can do to put it out there. It was never intended. I can assure you that governing body that's elected, that managed that contract, that put that together, has already done what you're asking for. I understand that you don't know that.
That we don't know.
I understand that. I totally understand that. And I think that that's a change in the way that an IDA has ever worked. And we'll address that. When I say we, I work for council. I will go back to council and we will reevaluate that.
That's what we need to do.
So that's not a problem. We can do.
Whether
that.
it's this or it's something going forward.
Right.
In a lot of ways, believe it or not, Tyler, I think this is a good thing. that happened.
Well, sure.
Because now we've gotten it out in the open, we've had a lot of discussion about it,
Yeah, I can tell you that it was never,
and we can go forward.
ever meant to
It's a
be
different
hidden.
time, I don't doubt that, but it's a different time than it was 20, even 10 years ago.
Sure.
And then, like I said, it's, all the others we've dealt with have been vacant properties, empty buildings, and we're talking real live people affected here. So that brings a whole new light.
Okay,
Everybody's
so
got an opinion.
we're
Everyone
gonna,
does.
I'm gonna
But our
try,
opinion is what they're depending on.
Right.
I'm gonna try to communicate, because I don't hear, unless you're gonna make a motion for me to tell, I'm gonna try my best to communicate this with council. What do you want me to tell Little League? The same thing?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. I don't know if it needs to be put in a motion. Does it need a motion?
Well, it's not officially going to happen if it doesn't.
Don't throw rocks if I don't get it right.
Yeah, I think, I think you probably should it that way. I don't think you've been,
All right.
and it's something that you
I will word it.
adopt.
That we postpone, or, I don't.
There's nothing to postpone
That's
because
postponed.
Then what are we doing?
that's what I didn't understand. Like, if there's nothing, like, if we weren't expected to sign this today
Okay.
or to sell the property today, then I was confused on what was needed of us. So it's nothing to
So how do we word
postpone.
that? How do we word that proposal?
That we don't move forward, but there's nothing to move forward
I
to.
don't, we want more.
Let me offer you a recommendation.
Let's hear it.
Why don't you just agree to reassemble when you've got an opportunity to maybe think about tonight's meeting, reassemble in the next, well, you're gonna be out of town for a while, I know that, but,
Yeah, almost 3 weeks because we got surgery coming up too.
yeah. Just agree to reassemble and reevaluate, you know, I almost hesitate to go back to cancel and,
When do you come back in?
I don't know.
Well, I'm coming back the 19th, but then we're going back the 21st for pre-op and then surgery's the
I think
30th.
that's a little,
So I'm,
Oh, then the 21st.
mentally.
and then I'm going to be in town.
Anytime.
Then I'm leaving, and I got to leave the next morning for a doctor's appointment to schedule surgery for myself on the 22nd, won't be back till the 23rd. And then he has surgery on the 30th.
Okay, so you'll be home on the 24th though?
Yeah. Be careful. Be careful.
Lord have mercy, I can't catch my breath.
No. Will you email over what CNX or the school board says?
And I'm gonna say everyone, if you can, attend the town council meetings. I mean, everyone needs to go to the town council. I feel like if you're appointed to a committee or whatever, you need to attend town council meetings if you can. I don't want to sit in by myself.
Or at least in the alternative, they
What'd you
are
say, Gene?
available, as I heard Jim
I
mention.
said, we're watching on the
Or at least
Yes, I
watch-
know.
at least watch.
Yeah, but if you're at the town council meeting, if someone wants to come up to you and ask you something, you can, or they want to
And
email.
plus you feel the
Like a lot of the email, the building players, my parents have, and everyone I talk to is on board.
I don't do anything. I don't do Facebook.
I don't do anything.
I attended the
Might
last
help
one.
you do the
And I watched
I
it.
tell fun.
You know, I just want to make it clear that I am totally for the youth, the kids having new fields. That's not any question in my mind or anything like
And I don't
that.
think anybody thinks
No,
that.
no,
I don't.
and, you know, because we support that, and I know the town supports that and wants to move forward with these things. I think if we work on trying to revamp this contract agreement, put some things in there that we want to see, I think that could happen.
And I think the fact that Dragon's going to be willing to work for us, I mean, work with us. I mean, if as much money as if they're willing to put into it, it looks like, from what you're telling me, then they're going to work with us. They're not going to abandon it.
Do you think they would, do you think they would be receptive to the concept of them providing an overview to the public of what their plans would be? I mean, I wonder if they would have, you know, yeah.
But they have to have something. Because no one wants to expand.
Yeah.
So they have to have
You know, so what if-
So just come.
Yeah, what if they
what
posted
you-
something?
I think that was
right, and that would be great PR for them,
True.
right? And yeah.
Excuse me?
They did. September 14th, they had an open house. Did they not want?
They need a new PR person.
With their open house, did they talk about the future?
What
Okay.
they were going to do, at least in the building that's already there.
Okay.
No, we want to know what you're going to do on the Little League field. You're not concerned about what you're going to put there.
I disagree with that.
us
I think
active-
what I'm hearing from you here, I think the general public is probably from what VP's saying, that they're interested in what's going to go on the vote.
I think the people at this table kind of know what's going into the building because they came to us about what's going in the building. I think people are more concerned with what's going to be built in place of the Little League fields. We all here know what's going to go inside that building.
I think you want to see what the big plan is.
Mhm.
And I think that includes everything. And there again,
Let me add this one thought, and again, it's just, I'm just joining in the conversation with you, but the town code book has got a zoning section in it.
Yeah.
Of course, you saw that last night, B2. We could, even if you decide, okay, this is great, let's get this ball rolling, let's get these kids in a new field, ever how you viewed it, let's go ahead and move on the IDA and get rid of the old field, sell it back and Dragon. They still have to come before Chris Hurley, who is our certified building official. They still have to come before Planning Commission. They still also, because it's in your contract, have to come before you and show you what the drawings are. But even, let's say you look at the drawings and you like what they're gonna do, it's still gotta be zoned. Or if they go to zoning, it's still got, it's coming back before y'all. But the only criteria that this board or any board has to work under is the zoning.
Correct.
That's it. So if it's an amphitheater, if it's a hospital, if it's a parking lot, if it's a hotel.
Ferris wheel, giant
If it's
Ferris
a
wheel.
Ferris wheel, it all fits B2. It really does. Anything
It's pretty
other
broad.
than something, heavy industry, for example, does not fit B2.
shooting range.
Shooting range does not fit in B2. So you got a lot of requests that we get, I say a lot, not a whole lot, come across where they don't fit. And that's where a BZA comes into play, if they want to pursue
But
that.
I'm confident we're going to work this thing out.
Oh, yeah, we may.
I think we've made a lot of progress here tonight. I just, I feel better about it.
And read through it. I'll encourage you to read through it, and each one of you know where I'm at. Call me, email me, which is why I sent all the emails out. If you got any questions about it, any concerns, so that we can alleviate maybe having to meet. And that way, if I don't hear you say anything, I'll say, okay, they're good. And I can print something out, I can bring it to a group and
Yeah, that was loaded, wasn't it? You said that last one out. Hadn't heard anything, so I assume that everybody's on board.
yeah, I hadn't heard anything, I just. Well, I tried to get responses from you guys, I did.
Well, you did. You
Well,
got
I'm
one.
going to come back to something that I said just a little while ago. If this group has now felt a little bit better, maybe not a lot better, but maybe a little bit better, what needs to be done to allow the public to feel better and to have a little bit more confidence that their interests are, at the
Well,
forefront?
what we just said.
Yeah. It just depends on
So
how you do that.
the CNX, I know what it is. I'm not an architect.
I mean,
How many fields can fit in that area?
I'm working on that with TNL right now.
Well, you said it was how many acres
mine.
compared to less than 7 for our current 2?
Yeah.
But you've got 90 acres and what of it is buildable.
Right.
Yeah,
Keep
I mean,
in
it's
mind,
not
that
available.
90 acres has maple wood running between it.
Right.
Yes.
And you got one side going to Fincastle, it's being used now for its best use, but it's the other side.
And you've got the same, not to be pessimistic about that piece of property, but you've got the same low-level line areas like you've got down
You
there
do.
at Little Big Field now that
You do.
are going to create as they pose significant development issues, put it that way, for purposes of putting athletic fields and things.
And once again,
Not that it can't be done, but it's just gonna be, you've got.
I know this is not
Right,
going
take a look.
to, I know this is not going to make me popular around this table. I really don't care about that. I care that this is something that's going to happen and we are in control.
Yeah.
And that it will be the right solution, right? I mean, we may not have identified it in a year from now, we may still not have identified it 3 years from now. Boom, something happens and it all cuts loose. And we're ready.
I can assure you it won't take 3 years. I mean, when he gets ready to move, things are going to move, which is the reason I said, which is the reason we need to meet, continue to get this right.
Well, let's take back control in terms of how the public is perceiving this.
Sure.
This whole thing, and that's what we need to do. Because right now, the public perception is that the back of the dragon is driving this transaction,
Right. Well,
period.
they're not, that's for sure.
I don't disagree with you, but that's the public perception. We need to take back control. And I think we can start, and at least a starting place is with when you report back to us and to the council, that, let's take a look at what at least these two properties that we're looking at and what we have to go, and then let's let the public know.
When
I mean, if you guys take baby steps, let's take baby steps.
Well, and I'm going to say this for the third time, we need to let the public know that this is the catalyst that made that happen, because we weren't.
I don't disagree with that.
Yeah.
That's exactly.
Yeah, because, we all kind of need to feel guilty about it, right? The town residents, we sort of need to feel guilty that we haven't been proactive enough. We haven't cared enough about Little League fields to look for new fields.
Right.
This has forced us, right? So we need to feel a little bit guilty, and then, okay, cool. Now let's
I
move
agree
forward.
with that. I agree with that 100%. Good point.
Okay, so I have a question, one more question, then I'll let you go. Okay, cool. So, let's say everybody's ready to move forward. And November 1st, he comes to you and says, I've raised the money, and here's the 300, and I'm just playing hypothetical. And he says, we've raised the money, sign over the fields to me. Let's just even say December 1st, giving it a little more time, let's say December 1st.
Right.
Then we no longer own the Little League fields, and that's when we'll have no choice but only to play in the check.
Only until you sign it, but yes, that's the reason it's got in here, in case he wants to move in haste. The dates in here are only in case he comes tomorrow.
Right.
But that's what I'm saying, so if he comes tomorrow and says, let's do this, I have a plan.
He still has a business plan to do too before he can.
Well, I'm sure he has a business plan, I'm
And we would
positive.
have to identify the solution at the end.
Share it with rest of us.
Right? I mean, is that correct, Todd?
What's gonna happen?
I mean, meaning we have.
Well-
But even if he shows us a business plan and it falls in line with B2,
Right.
what can we really do?
Nothing.
The only way we stop, and if we don't approve of the B2 is by saying, oh, we don't want to sell it.
That's it.
Well, then let's move forward.
And that's a good, hey, thank you. I mean, that's a perfect example of what I was saying earlier. I think we just need to reconvene and go over this contract in detail and take into consideration David Altheimer's comments and all the other comments. And, you've got a good footprint and it's protecting the town to the 10th degree. And it's also providing the pit for 2 new Little League fields. And if it,
And what he presents to us, he cannot change.
his drawings,
Like, so if he says, I'm gonna put a movie theater, and we say, okay, we want to sell based on the fact that you're putting a movie theater,
Right.
but then he puts an amphitheater.
well, now he can, and what we'll do, good point, it's gotta go, number one, it's gotta go back to planning.
Plans.
But we can still, Brad can still add that language in here to
Okay.
answer that question. It's a good point. We'll add it in there. But the planning commission.
Okay.
It's gotta be clear to the zoning administrator.
I would like to add the fact that whatever he presents to us and we agree on, he can't change it.
Oh, no. I totally agree with you. You know, if he does change it, it's gotta go through the appropriate circles, which is like.
Yes, then we would have to reapprove, get it
Sure,
reapproved.
absolutely.
I would feel comfortable with that.
Absolutely. So, can you meet tomorrow? No.
When are you leaving town?
I've been here a long time.
No, you're going out of town.
That's all we
on
changed it
Monday.
tonight, right? I
Oh,
mean,
yeah, I thought you were talking about, for the town, man.
No, absolutely not.
I am leaving actually at 4 o'clock Saturday morning, going to High Point, North Carolina. My daughter's got 2 travel ball games. On the way back, I'm parking my vehicle at the parking lot in Whitfield. My wife's dropping me off. I'm going to Roanoke for a conference. I'm going to be back on Tuesday. And then the sunset. Y'all remember the sunset deal?
Oh, I was talking about that one today with the VIAA folks.
Well,
over in
they're
Whitfield.
voting Tuesday night to wipe that off the town's books. So Andrew Sorrell with the Tobacco Commission has asked me to be in Marion at the trough meeting Tuesday night at the same time the council meeting. So,
Can you explain that?
sure, yeah.
You're saying wipe it off the books, explain that.
Well, what happened, we had a $680,000 grant that was given to the town of Tazewell for Sunset. And I don't think, you were here, right?
I was here, yes, sir.
Sunset, and- all right, we also had a $680,000 loan that was given to Sunset that was funded through the town. So the town of Tazewell had a more obligation on it. They had criteria that they had to meet, and one of them was to put an office here in Tazewell.
I remember that.
And we worked with them. We went through the contract, and we even had a big meeting here, and, you had several dignitaries here, and we had an unveiling and an announcement of Sunset, and as we all know, that sold, and things changed, but the more obligation did. So I need that bonding power. So ever since then, I've been chasing to remedy that. They're good to go. So it would be there forever. And so I've been working with Delegate, Moorfield and Tobacco Commission for several months. And we finally got to the point where they're going to actually vote Tuesday and take it off the books.
So that we can go somewhere else.
Well, we'll get that more obligation released. from the
And
town.
the bonding powers increase after.
We've got about $23 million of bonding power, the town of Tazewell. About $3 million of that is encumbered. Actually, about $13 million, because we're getting ready to do a $10 million upgrade to the sewer treatment plant. So that's going to leave about $10 million of unencumbered funds. The indoor sports complex that we've been talking about forever.
Yeah, what happened to that feasibility study?
They're still working on it. They're still doing it. They haven't got it back yet. That was the reason for the purchase of the Ramey lot. Originally, we had looked at the CNX lot. We had looked at several different properties for that, but the Ramey lot came available. And that's the future home of that if the feasibility study comes back good.
What if it doesn't?
I've got a lot of buyers waiting.
Wow.
Yeah, in the town, I've never,
That's good to know.
I've always said that,
How come?
That's a good question. If there's a lot of buyers, why couldn't Rainy sell it?
we didn't pay the $300,000.
I was gonna say, they were asking big dollars.
They were asking
Big dollars, and then we came in.
I've never
And
been,
you know my connection to the Ramies.
I've never been,
They were asking a lot more money.
we've always given property away. So if you're gonna build
If you make
the hotel will give you the lot if you'll come do it. Sure. If you'll build a bowling alley, we'll give you a bowling alley if you'll do it. If you're gonna build the cinema, which is still on the way, by the way, we'll give it to you.
Yeah, we need an update on that.
We do need an update. I know that she didn't come to September's comment, but I think she came to August.
They didn't get much in the future. I think they enjoyed the tax, not having
I'll get her to come
taxes
back.
anymore.
She's still trying to get federal funds. She's got to spend that money on that, or give it back.
Sure.
So,
So
just releasing the bond for the payment. In other words, if we don't get it taken care of, I wouldn't, the good example, I wouldn't have the 7.5 million maybe, so. A bond ability.
Well, I think that's good. I think that was, I know with the Sunset deal, I was very optimistic. I think lots of folks were very optimistic, and man, you talk about just having the rug pulled out from underneath you.
But we can sit back.
Another one of those deals. I don't know what it is with us.
We could sit back and say.
I wasn't on board at that time.
Hey, I tell you what, I'm telling you though, if you were, it sounded sweet. Yeah.
See, you put a little dirt under our feet.
Maybe it is, yeah, maybe it is. When does my term expire? Maybe something, I can get all the juju on it.
Well, I can assure you that as long as this cancel and the one before, and this manager's here, I'll never quit swinging. I'll never quit. So, I won't.
It's over your head.
I'll never quit. I'll even try to reach for it. We have to. What do we have? Look what we have. The aqua park. Y'all know how much Facebook rabble I got over aqua park? There's people still in this community that'll look at me and say, you didn't need the aqua park. I get beat to death over the aqua park still to this day, and it averaged 450 kids a weekend. And they still say, why did you build the aqua park? I'm like, my God, can we do anything right? It's just amazing.
I can't put my kayak in Lincolnshire anymore. I have to go to Lake Whitney.
The aqua park.
The aqua park is in the lake.
It really is, though.
That's
I
fine.
can't carry it that far. I'm gonna back it and put it
He's still putting the same one. She's talking about having to go around in buoys in the aqua park.
Now, come on.
That's
We're building an ADA dock out there now. You can actually have 2 wheelchairs pass on it. It's under construction
I
now.
was out the other day, did that thing just break loose and get up and, where the ramp is to launch your boat or kayak or whatever you want to?
Right.
Did that thing break loose or did they intentionally tie that thing up there?
They intentionally tied it, yeah, they're building it.
Because I went to Whitney.
I love the stairs. I love the stairs.
Yeah, that's
additions.
nice.
Mhm.
Yeah, people are really enjoying those.
But I've had people, I can show you the emails. Matter of fact, if you want something to laugh at, I'll forward them to you. Why did you build the steps there? Why did you build it? They run right out in the parking lot. Okay.
Well, you can't please everybody. I mean,
No, you can't. I'm telling you, social media will lead it. It's people will take an issue. No, I'm not going. I'm just going to be quiet. It's just amazing. It really is. And the dock, we're building brand new. Why do you need to bring your docks? Well,
so I can get my kayak in the water.
the dock is going to go out there 40 feet, by the way. And then it's going to turn at a 45-degree angle and run another 35 feet out. Really nice.
The only thing I wish is that we had more parking. Because I'm not going to put my Teddy trees, I'm really not going to put it in there. Because, really.
We bought-
Because I have to put it in and then I have to take my truck down to the park and then I got to ride the, either walk or ride the golf cart back up and I'm going to get right
That's
on.
what I've had to do.
Parking.
Drive up, put it in, take the
Yeah,
truck.
I just wish it-
Go back down the bottom and walk back
And
up.
I
Maybe
can't
family up there, so they can get in.
And I can't complain too much because my dad was on the council when they did that, so blame on daddy. I blame on him.
You know, we pay
Yeah, y'all
$200.
did that thing wrong. so.
We pay $200 a month for the park and it's down in there.
With the aqua park, who owns that?
Lester Development.
Who?
Lester Development.
Really?
Out of Watson.
Do you know anybody with them?
So, that's where, was that where the basketball courts were?
Yeah, it used to be. Does that local?
So did we pay that for that also?
Well, it's a long story.
Okay, well, we don't, yeah. well,
I'll get into it, but and we're gonna pay.
Nothing bad,
we're gonna
it's an interesting
You
story.
should know, or we're gonna pay the basketball and the tennis court.
The tennis court parents would be so happy because
You are.
They're back.
the tennis court parents literally come up to me and Omar all the time and say, if it wasn't for you, we would have seating at the tennis courts. But because you were adamant about, your husband was adamant about adding this little basketball court, we don't have seats. And I'm like, if they wouldn't have torn down the other ones, you would have seats.
And it's all come back to the aqua park, right? There you go, man.
But yeah, I can't tell you how many people have come up to us and said, if your husband was so adamant about that basketball courts being rebuilt there, we would have seating. And now I have to bring chairs or stand and watch my child
So they're
play.
fussing at them?
Yeah.
So is there anything else we need to give Brad? I mean,
He's doing it, man.
I gotta go.
We don't need to match, I gotta go put Jerry up to his machines.
Miss Chair, do you still want a motion, or do you want
Do we need a
to
motion?
just come back and reconvene?
Well, I think there would only need to be a motion if we want to do something officially, right? I mean, officially within this document, or officially for you to go back to council.
Well, we do.
I don't know if we need them, that's why I said, do we need a motion? I don't think we need a motion. What do you?
Well, it depends on really what I guess you want to accomplish tonight, going forward. I know what I'm hearing in terms of what you need is to get to review this, the draft as it is, and get your recommendations of changes of anything in terms of text to Todd or to me directly. And say these are things that I would like to have considered so that we can come back as a group again and to look at these modifications or tweaks to it that satisfy our concerns with the draft as it is. That's what
So
I'm
other
hearing.
than the one that I gave you, were there more recommendations of changes?
Well, I think we wanted to eliminate the 7 mile thing.
Yes, we
That was
did.
another, that was one.
So do we have to motion to say, to,
Just,
What about just have a motion to reconvene?
reconvene and get recommended changes or suggested changes on the existing document or concerns back to
And his
Todd.
report back on what he hears from CNX and school board in
And that way
regards
you've
to.
got a record within your meeting to show what you discussed.
Not only-
And as you move to go forward, so you've got
That's
something
another
about
opportunity.
to spring off of the
So
next
how do
meeting.
we word that? It's been
Um,
proposed that we reconvene at a later
only
date,
other one that is.
which will include recommendations that Todd, he'll report back to us on what he finds out about the CNX property and the school board property. And also any changes that we deem necessary to be made.
Suggestions,
Or suggestions
concerns,
to the
questions you have
contract.
about the existing agreement.
I make that motion.
And I'll second it.
All in favor?
I,
Get that, Tracy? That was pretty wordy, wasn't it?
Todd, do you need anything more for council? Grace. Tell them.
You heard about what happened to Chris Brown yesterday, didn't you?
Do we need to set a date for another meeting? You said the 24th?
I know. That's a big breath for me.
Well,
I
we
mean,
need to do it as soon as possible.
yeah, I mean, that's all, best we can do, that's the best we can do.
well, it has to be after the 14th because that's when he's got the school board meeting.
Does that give you enough time to do what you have to do and talk to
Well,
students?
the meeting at the school board would only tell me if they're on board, you know, to even allow us to do it. I know they were when we were going to do the board conference there. And I've talked to 3 of the board members.
Is that something you think that we'd be able to share with the public?
Oh, I have nothing to hide. I mean, we can.
Okay. So I think that's fine. What about the CNX property then? Does that give you enough time to talk to them? You said you've been talking to.
Yeah, I have. So we've been communicating, but,
Because I ain't got a busy schedule, so I'm.
well, I should, we're playing phone tag is the problem. I'm out, she's out, and I'm out. But hopefully by next week I'll have something.
That gives us what, 3 weeks?
Oh,
Mhm.
That ain't enough time.
How about that?
24th, 6:30. Is that okay with everybody else?
Well, we're working on Fifi's schedule.
And I'm sorry that it's just one thing.
Life happens.
Can we
Just joke.
send out something to make everyone aware that it's?
It's public. I agree with you.
Yeah, I mean, because I didn't know that.
And we came on a month apart.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we came a month
All
apart.
meetings of public bodies are open
And-
unless you go into executive session.
Yeah, so we came aboard at the same time.
6:30.
6:30, 24th.
Good discussion this evening, folks. Very good discussion.
Now I'm like on the fence.
And nobody got
It's a good
hurt?
job.
Yeah, true, very true.
Do you need anything else from us?
Not for me personally.
So if you have
I'm
changes,
just
so if
waiting
you,
a while till
after
we hear
keep
from
reading,
anybody.
if we have changes, we can email you up.
Or me either one, but.
Okay.
I think
Just CC me on.
Okay.
Send it off.
Would I be misrepresenting you if I went back to council and said that it's not that you don't support it, you just have some contractually some things that we need to address in the contract? Is that an accurate comment to council?
From me, from my opinion, yes.
Okay.
Well, it's not just the contract though, it's, we want to move forward with some sort of tentative plan too, from the back of the
Sure.
dragon and in regards to the Little League field going
So
forward.
it's not, I mean, there's none of you are going to walk out here and say, I don't care what happens, I'm not supportive.
No,
No, absolutely not.
No, that's not what we're saying. That's not what we were saying walking in.
We just want to say, we want to treat this like we've treated all the other deals that went through. You've got to come to us with a plan.
Okay.
You've got to come to us with a solid plan.
Anything else?
Okay.
Good deal?
Have a motion to adjourn?
So moved. Second.
I'm going to go back
Aye.
to work.